guys, my name is Cherita. I'm the most positive person you'll ever meet. I guarantee it.
And it's bubbly, 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 we are singing to our love.
I just want to say hello and I apologize to my cheerleading loyal fans, loyal subscribers. I know I haven't talked anything cheer in a while, but I've been focusing on some other things during the off season of cheerleading, and I do know I still have Summit and World's divisions to cover, but I mean, I figure I might as well do that right before the upcoming season. But something happened today in Denver to where I am able to talk cheer. So if you guys are interested in this video, go ahead and keep watching. Before I get started, make sure you click subscribe for new content every single week. This month, I'm doing content every single day. And also do not forget to link up with me on my social media. All of that information will be down below in the description box. So let's get started. If you are not familiar with what took place in Denver at a high school, there's a video of a girl being pushed down by her coach and being held by 4 other girls, and she's being forcibly pushed down into her splits. Now, of course, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this video, but majority of the people see something wrong with it. I too agree that it is very excessive. Yes, stretching happens in cheerleading, but when you are forcing somebody to do something and they are uncomfortable and they are begging and pleading you to stop, you should stop. This girl is literally hollering, screaming, crying because she's in so much pain. She is in agonizing pain because of how she's being pushed down into her splits. And this isn't just a split, she's actually in an oversplit. Now, I don't know this girl from Nancy down the street, so I don't know if she already has her splits, but it doesn't look like it is something that she is comfortable doing. And a lot of the comments were saying, you know, if she doesn't want to be stretched, if she doesn't want to do the hard work, then she shouldn't be a cheerleader. Well, here's the thing. We don't really know anything about this girl. We don't know if this is her first time ever doing the splits. We don't know if she has splits. We don't know if she's over dramatic. We don't know if she has a low pain tolerance. We don't know if she has a high pain tolerance. We don't know much about this girl. But what we do know is that she was in pain and somebody recorded it and anonymously sent it to somebody because they felt like, I'm assuming they felt like she was being done wrong. I come from a gymnastics background. I have been stretched. I have been a cheerleader. I have been stretched. I have been a coach. I have stretched people. But I have never stretched or been stretched to the point where I felt like I was being injured. And like I said before, this is her body. If she asks somebody to stop, they need to stop. No means no. Now, what the coach does after that, that's on him. So if she's telling the coach, please stop, no, I don't want to do this, he has a couple of options. He can say, okay, then you can leave my practice. Or he can say, I need to talk to your parents because if you want to be a flyer, you need to stretch at home. But whatever the case is, continuing what he was doing is not an option. Another thing, people are saying, well, if she can't do something as simple as the splits, then she shouldn't be a cheerleader. Or if she already didn't have her splits, she shouldn't have been a cheerleader. Which literally makes no sense, because if you don't know how to read, then why do you go to school? If you don't know the periodic table, why do you take a science class? If you don't know how to count, why do you take a math class? Cheerleading is there for learning. Maybe she's a tumbler. Maybe she has good jumps. Maybe she has good motions. Maybe she's a good dancer. One split, the splits do not define you as a cheerleader. Splits do not make you a good cheerleader. Flexibility does help with body positions if you're a flyer. Splits do help with jumps, but splits are not mandatory to be an amazing cheerleader. Splits do not define you as a cheerleader. So a statement like, if she can't do the splits, then maybe she shouldn't be a cheerleader, is asinine. has nothing to do with the fact that this girl was being tortured. There is, like I've said before, there's a right way to stretch people and there's a wrong way to stretch people. Let's just assume this is her first time ever doing the splits. Her being forced into that position, she's going to injure herself. She's not going to be sore, she's going to tear a muscle. She's going to pull a muscle. She's going to become injured. It can be a long-lasting injury. It can cause serious damage. So we can't sit here and just call her a crybaby because she's crying from being stretched. We do not know anything about this girl. It's called having empathy. We see what's going on. We see that she's crying. We see it's excessive. So we cannot sit here and blame the victim. And yes, I'm going to use the word victim. We cannot blame her. Stretching takes time. Doing the splits takes time. Now, yes, I'm making an assumption, but who knows what else this coach is making these girls do when they're not ready. And because he's the coach, these girls are believing him. And maybe he believes what he's doing is right, but there are way too many resources for him to not know how to properly do things. And I'm not saying there's one proper way, but there are multiple proper ways. And there are multiple wrong ways. And the way he went about stretching this girl was wrong. Now, yes, I did see that she was sitting on her hip and he pulled her up into the correct split position, which, I don't know, maybe that was his goal. But if that was the only thing, then he should have stopped at that. But it does look like, and from what I read in the article, it looks like when he grabbed her shoulders, he put his knee into her back hip, which is further pushing her down. There's a difference between letting gravity pull you down and somebody forcing you down. And the last thing that I want to talk about is how people brought race into this situation. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they did. I saw people going, if it was the other way around, it would have been considered racist. Let me stop you there. The girl in the video who was being pushed down just happened to be a white girl on a team with majority of black girls. So it was a white girl being held up by her teammates while her coach pushed her down. Now, I also read in the article that there were multiple videos. So that means with majority of black girls on the team, there had to have been at least one or two black girls that were being stretched. So for somebody to say if it was the other way around, it would have been an issue, goes to show your ignorance and your racist mentality. Black people are used to being the minority. So when they saw this girl who just happened to be white being pushed down in her splits, the only thing they thought was, this is an ill-informed coach. This is a terrible coach. This is terrible coaching. Not once did they think, oh, they're doing this because the girl is white and this is a hate crime. And yes, I did see the words hate crime being used, which is ridiculous. If it were the other way around, and by the other way around, I don't mean the cheerleaders pushing the coaches down, I mean white girls pushing a black girl down, I would hope and pray that the same people who were upset by this girl who just happened to be white being pushed down would have been upset about a black girl being pushed down and tortured. Abuse is abuse. And I promise you, somebody said, if this were the other way around, Black Lives Matter would have been rallying and protesting. Black Lives Matter, they do not care about a cheerleader being stretched in some splits. I can guarantee you that. They're too worried about the next Trayvon Martin. They're too worried about the next Tamir Rice to be worried about some little girl being pushed down in her splits. People who are saying that literally have a racist way of thinking, because a lot of the people who tagged me in this video or shared it with me, all they said is that they were upset that this little girl was being stretched the way she was. Race was not brought into it until ignorant people started commenting about, oh, if it were the other way around. There's no other way around. She was being stretched. Is it because she was the only white person that made her a victim or made her more innocent than if it were a bunch of white people pushing down a black girl? Get out of here. As you can see, I'm pretty worked up about this whole situation only because of the comments. Somebody on my Twitter mentioned this used to be the way that people were stretched, but now it's not like that anymore. And, oh, and that's another comment that people were saying. Sorry, I'm backtracking. People were saying, oh, I've seen this happen all the time. This is how I was stretched. This is normal. If that's normal, then your normal is wrong. Because we have advanced so much in our sport. We have so much more knowledge about how things are supposed to be done properly that there's no reason for people to be injured while getting stretched. A long time ago, people used to get their hands cut off for stealing. Just because it was the norm doesn't mean it was right. A long time ago, actually not even that long ago, and even still in some places, gay marriage was illegal. Just because it was the norm doesn't make it right. People used to get lynched. Just because it was normal doesn't make it right. So if this was something that was normal or something you deem normal, we should be condemning it, not just brushing it off as, oh, well, it's normal. No, cheerleading should be a fun environment. Yes, there is competitiveness to it, but you should not walk away injured just because your coach wants you to have the splits, just because your coach needs you to be more flexible. Because I guarantee you that little girl who was pushed down in her splits, say she did the splits that day, do you think 10 years from now she's gonna have the splits if she doesn't continue to keep up with her stretching? Absolutely not, because stretching takes time. You think just because you lost 100 pounds means you can go back to your terrible eating habits and you're gonna keep that 100 pounds off? Absolutely not. It takes time. If you're a guy and you know in high school you used to be able to bench 250 pounds, but 13 years later after high school, you haven't weight trained, you think you can still be able to bench press 250 pounds? Absolutely not, because things like that take time. That's my rant. I'm done. My blood pressure is like through the roof. So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Let's have a conversation in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to share it with all of your friends. Thank you so much for watching. Have a positive and love-filled day. Bye.